Well, hello everyone. I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US, and I'm here to bring you a special live paper crafting class where I feature my first set of alternate projects that I've made with the latest paper pumpkin kit. That latest kit is the August 2025 Farmhouse Florals kit. And if you are a subscriber, you would have received an email yesterday. I noticed there was a question in the chat before we went live. You would have received the email yesterday. I think it was yesterday morning is when I got mine. So if you're not getting these emails, contact Stampin' Up at 1-800-STAMP-UP. But the email includes, if you scroll to the bottom, it includes links to the two different stamp set little case inserts. So a lot of people use these inserts, they print them off, and then they put them into the existing cases that we have for the stamp sets. And that way you can store your stamp sets the way that we've stored our other stamp sets. So that is in that email, but I also try to grab that information and add it to my website. You can find me at stampyourartout.com. In fact, I'm going to take you there really quickly. That way we can take care of that question right away. So if we are, and I'm just going to open up a new tab here and start with stampyourartout.com. Okay, so if you're here, I always post them as quickly as I can under paper pumpkin and then stamp set case inserts, and you will find the August ones here. All right, okay, back to the beginning. So Farmhouse Florals, really pretty kit. Beautiful cards. You can make 3 of 3 different kinds. So altogether, the kit, per the instructions, makes 9 cards. A lot of people like to make alternate projects with these kits. So you take the contents and you revamp everything to make other types of cards, scrapbook pages, home decor, 3D, treat containers, that kind of stuff, mini albums. And so I've created a bunch of cards. I went hog wild and I got my kit early. I don't know what happened, but it showed up on Saturday, which was really early for me. Normally I get it like the 19th or today, the 20th. And so I was really crossing my fingers that I would get it by yesterday, and it came super early. So I got to create with it. This is the Farmhouse Florals flyer that you get with the kit. And inside are the instructions for making those 3 different cards. It gives you step-by-step visual instructions. Let me bring you to the desktop and we will take a peek at what is in there. So you get your stamp set, and this month I mentioned that there were 2, right? You got 2 stamp sets because this is a bonus month. They're gifting us this extra bonus stamp set called Friendly Florals. And then of course we always get at least 1 stamp set. They're photopolymer stamps, so they're easy to see through. You also get a mini Stampin' Spot. This is the Secret C. And I just realized that I forgot to grab all my inks and extra supply. I have to grab this ink because I normally use, and I'm going to grab it over here. Hey, while I'm over here, can you guys tell me, can you hear my microphone the same amount back there as you could here? Because I'm trying out a new mic and I should be able to walk around my room with it, and it's right here and it travels with me. So let me know how the mic is. Okay, anyways, here are the kit contents, and I've actually broken this down a little bit so that you can see 2/3 of it plus all the labels. So you get a bunch of pieces to make these 3 cards, you get a bunch of pieces to make these 3 cards, and then you get another set, which I have off to the side that I'm going to dive into. But yeah, the ink, the stamps, the consumables. You also, oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't come with it, but you also get adhesives, and you oftentimes will get some sort of embellishment like twine and or like little sparkly dots or something like that. We're going to make some different cards. And I like to use my larger stamp pads because, no, you didn't. Okay. How did I ask the question now? Did it sound different? I think that's what I asked. So it didn't sound different, which is good. So I can travel with it in parts of my room and you can hear it either way. I could hear you, but you were not quite as loud, said Kelly. Okay. It's good either way, but it's a little louder when you're back by the camera. Okay. Interesting. I wonder if I bet I'm louder here than I am here. I can try to position it more, but I have a little collar on today working with this new mic, but you can hear me fine. Thank you so much, Mary. Okay. And thanks, Donna. I'm glad that you like my alternatives, and I'm glad that we have so many joining us. So we're gonna go ahead and work with Secret C, which is the same color as the ink that you get with your kit. This is the larger version, like I mentioned earlier. And what you'll wanna do with Secret C is if you have, let's see here, 28 divided by 2 is 14. If you have 14 sheets of Secret C, you can take your whole entire kit and make 27 cards. You can triple your kit with the cards that I'm going to share with you first. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this 8.5 by 11 cardstock. We're going to use the light blade and we're going to score at 4 1/4. Then we're going to rotate and we're going to bring it to 5.5 inches instead of 4 1/4. And we're going to cut. And now you have 2 card bases. So if we're going to turn our 9 kit cards into 27, you're also going to need, and I have to walk back to my room. Hang on. You're also going to need some envelopes. So you're going to need like a pack of the basic white envelopes. So Secret C cardstock, basic white envelopes, and I think I added in ribbon. And that's pretty much it. I mean, tools and adhesives, yes, but that's it in order to increase your kit by that many more cards. And you could choose a different base color if you want to. I just thought Secret C looked really, really good with it. Okay, next. So we've got some card bases, and I'm just going to pull them all in. I cut and scored them all the same. And we're going to take and look at a few of the card bases here. Okay, so you get 3, and these are the 3 card bases that you get in your kit. So you get a plain one, then you get one with a cute little typewriter with flowers coming out of it, because that's what all our typewriters back in the 70s and 80s had. And then you get this bag full of flowers, like a little tote bag. So I'm gonna cut, I'm not going to fold on the score line, I'm gonna cut in different places. In this one, I'm gonna cut in half this way, and I'm gonna cut in half this way. I'm actually not going to do all these cuts, I'm just explaining a lot of them to you because we're gonna go through these quickly. So for this base, you're gonna cut in half and cut in half. You're gonna cut on that score line, and then this cut in this direction will be at 2 3/4 inches. Okay, so you'll end up with a 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 inch rectangle. You have 4 of those. Those you will use for insides of cards. I'm gonna set that off to the side. This one obviously has decor on it. So for this one, we're gonna trim it first in this direction. I know that seems odd, but we're gonna cut it at 5.5 inches. So this is where the edge is, at 5.5. Hang on to that. And then you're gonna rotate this, and you're gonna cut this really wherever you want to, but I cut it at 2 1/4 inches, just because it didn't make this too narrow. I mean, if you cut it at 2 inches, you'll pretty much cut it right down the middle of your typewriter. I wanted a little bit more, so I cut it at 2 1/4 inches. Okay, well, actually, let's go ahead and do that one. And then this piece, you're gonna cut at 5/8, and I'm gonna zoom in so you can see where that is. So on your trimmer, I'm using this side of my trimmer now. This is 1/4 inch, this is a 1/2 inch, 3/4, and 1 inch, right? It's just beyond the 1/2 inch mark by 2 little ticks. So it's this one right here. That is 5/8. And then you're gonna do another one at 5/8. And what you'll end up with is a 4 1/4 by 3 inch layer. This will also become something that goes on the inside of your cards. And we'll set that over there. The inside layers, I'm not gonna worry too much about. I will show you on the finished cards what I used. For this one, it's a lot easier. It's kind of like the first card base. You're gonna cut it in half at that score line, like we did the first one. Then you're gonna cut each of these in half. So half of 4 1/4 is 2 1/8. And half of 4 1/4 is 2 1/8. Okay, so you're cutting long rectangles. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you have 6 front layers. This is going to become a front layer. And then we have some sentiment strips. All right, let's look at the envelopes really quickly. I'm going to cut one of those. So for your envelopes, you're going to keep them, and I'm going to zoom out even more because I think I'm a little too close. But for your envelopes, I like to cut the edges to make them really crisp and sharp, and that way you don't have to sit there and manipulate and try to tear these apart right here. So I just cut, and typically I cut so that my envelope is hovering right over that dark edge there, like this. Here's the channel of the trimmer, and then I cut right about here, which is about 1/16 of an inch. But I'm gonna go in 1/8 of an inch. That's two little, it's this first little mark in, I should say. You're gonna flip it over this way so you can still use that flat edge against your flat edge of the trimmer. And we're gonna trim again. And now what that allows us is to open this. This piece ends up being 5.5 inches wide, okay? Look at that, 5.5. Okay, so now you're gonna take and do that with all 3 of your envelopes, because for your 3 kit cards that you're cutting up, because we're taking and turning 3 into 9. And again, if you wanna do this with your whole kit, you can do all of the 3 sets of 3 into 27. We're just doing the 3 different kinds of cards and their pieces into 9. So for the envelopes, because you get 3 envelopes, you have this really pretty pattern paper. For 2 of the envelopes, you're gonna cut at 4 inches here. Okay, you're gonna cut right there, and that's gonna give you a front layer, and we're gonna look at that later. For 2 of those, and then for the 3rd one, you're gonna cut right there on that score line. All right. For the 2 envelopes where we cut further in, you will have, you know, a little bit of scrap here that can be used. But on this part here, and I'm just going to trim right inside that score line because we don't want the score lines on there. So all of your envelopes will have these sections left over, and you're going to trim off 1/2 inch on each side like this. And then you're gonna rotate, and you're gonna cut that in this direction at 3/4 of an inch, so that you end up having a 3 1/4 by 4.5 inch piece. And you'll have 3 of those because of your 3 envelopes. And again, 2 envelopes you'll cut wide, and 1 you'll cut skinny. So on your wide ones, you end up with a couple little sections here, right? On your skinny one, you end up with a nice white large base, and that's going to become an inside of a card as well. So you end up having 1, 2, 3, 4, because remember we have 3 of these, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are your inside layers. You can rewatch this and it'll make sense to you. But your outside layers became the 1 and 2 and the 3. And then you've also got a couple little narrow pieces here. All right, let's now look at creating some of these, okay? Now that we have some pieces cut, we're gonna start with this one that has, and I think we're gonna do, sorry, I'm grabbing the right one. I think we're gonna do this one here. No, we'll do this one. Okay, so changing my mind. Okay, for this one, I'm gonna add it to this side. For the other card, I'm gonna add it to this side, just because it looked right to me. Now you could do it this way, but then it feels like you're cutting off like right down the middle of your bag. Over here, it looks like it was partly off of the scene of the card, right? So you're just grabbing a glimpse of it and a glimpse of it. But here, I feel like, oh my gosh, the bag is completely gone. Okay, so let's take this and add this to our card base using our seal adhesive, because that's nice and quick and easy. You can also use multi-purpose liquid glue. You could use tear and tape adhesive. And we're just gonna add that, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch from the folded edge. So it looks like this. And then we're gonna take stamps that are in the kit. And remember, you get 2 stamp sets. And I'm gonna move off of here so I can see comments coming in. You're gonna take the one that looks like this fun border, which is used a lot in the card designs that Stampin' Up! Has instructed. We're gonna mount that onto our D-size block. By the way, if you're new to paper pumpkin kits, you've never seen them before, that sort of thing. You need to know that for your first kit, you're gonna get a complimentary D size block, like it's the equivalent size. It's not the same, it's not ergonomic like these, but you can invest in more blocks. And I like to use my B, C, and D blocks for my paper pumpkin kits. So if you're looking to invest in sizes for paper pumpkin kits, you know that they're not gonna go beyond the D size, okay? All right, we're gonna ink this up with our ink, and we're just gonna stamp this down. 1. You need to do it 3 times. This is the hard part, lining it up. 2, and I hope I got it. Oh my gosh, that one was way better than the first 2 times I tried. And 3. Oh, it's like perfection. So we have that little fun design going down the side, and then we're gonna, and let's leave that open. We're gonna take one of these strips and we're gonna ink that up with one of our longer sentiments, because we have a couple of those. Here are the stamp set images, by the way. We're gonna take the one that says good friends. Let's find that one, it's right here. And I like to let my stamps relax upside down on my table. The flat side is up, and then I grab it after it's relaxed a little bit. I grab it at an angle so that I'm not relying on the edges of my block for lining up my stamps. I'm looking at the actual image of the stamp because it's see-through, and because this is light on light, it's kind of hard to see. So we're gonna put it over dark cardstock. There we go. And we will stamp that down, centered. And there we have our sentiment. The next step, I'm gonna set this over here. The next step is to take that extra added embellishment that I told you about. And for the embellishment that I'm choosing, I'm going to be using the Mossy Meadow and Gold trim that coordinates with one of our online exclusive suites called Painterly Pears. And so this is the ribbon that coordinates with that, but you can use this ribbon with other products too. So I'm gonna just kind of eyeball and cut. We'll grab our snips and trim like that. And then we're gonna take the back side of this, we're gonna put adhesive just along the bottom left of it. So it's just along this bottom edge, and then I'm gonna grab it at an angle like that, so it sticks out like this. And then I'm gonna trim any excess that I might see sticking out here. Grab some dimensionals, and you get dimensionals with the kit, but if you like to supplement, you can also get mini dimensionals and regular size dimensionals in our online store. So I'm just gonna add a couple of those back here. We'll do 3. And we're gonna take and add this to the front of the card. I love this ribbon because it not only adds color accenting, but it's got glimmer and shine to it, right? And I also wanna show you one other thing about this ribbon, which I think is amazing. This ribbon, let me show it to you again, has a dominant side for gold and a dominant side for Mossy Meadow. So one side is more intense in the certain color than the other, if that makes sense. So I made mine go so that the gold was up more, okay? All right, so there we have our first card, and I will show you the finished 2. So this is one, this is the other, and inside we have the layers that are 2 3/4 by 4 inches. Oh, you know what I did? I cut this one here. I cut this down to 4 inches in this direction instead of 4 1/4. So it became 2 3/4 by 4. Sorry about that, okay? 2 3/4 by 4. So that's that layer, and the same one for the inside of that. Next. All right, the next card. This next one we'll be using the plain layer. Okay, we had those plain layers that coordinated with this piece here. So we're gonna grab one of those, and we're gonna take our, let me find one, hang on. Oh, I might have to dig into this stash here. You know what I'll do? I'll do it part way and then you'll see what I mean. Okay, so for this piece here, we're just gonna take and add seal adhesive, a dry tape runner adhesive or tear and tape adhesive or whatever. And I want that gold side up again. And this is my sticky side. I have the adhesive right up next to it and I'm going to grab and we'll just go in a little bit so that we're not being perfect. I'm just gonna tuck in this ribbon like so underneath. And you wanna get it, you know, evenly kind of distributed, coming out from your cardstock evenly. And we're gonna do that one more time. You have to keep the ribbon nice and tight when you do it. Okay, there we go. And we'll flip it so that we can see the edge and the separation of the two. Cut, and then flip and cut. Then you take another piece and you're gonna tie it in a knot. And because I want that gold to be dominant again, I'm taking my gold so it's showing. It's gonna flip over on this side, but this side is gonna show. So for this one, I'm gonna twist it over. And as I tighten, it's gonna stay twisted. And it's gonna kind of make like this little V shape here. Then I can trim like that. And I have my cute little bow, faux bow, that can go onto my card. I can stamp a little sentiment down here. And I thought for this one, the sentiments that I thought were good for this style were this one that looks like it could be punched out of a circle and this one here. So that's what I used on the next two cards. And for those cards, I used the element that looks like this, cut in half for my actual imagery, okay, for my ephemera. So I cut right through the middle of the window frame, and I got this card and this card, and everything's stuck down flat on these, no dimensionals, okay? So this, you wouldn't have to worry about all that extra stickiness because you're just gonna add more stickiness and stick it straight down, and then this half of that image is gonna get tucked under, and the other half of the image is gonna get tucked under on that one. This gets added, and we'll have to set that aside or it's gonna keep sticking to me. This gets added with a glue dot. I recommend getting glue dots so that you can just stick it down like that and not have to worry about it moving. For the inside of those cards, I believe those are these are the 2 3/4 by 4 inch pieces. So those are the leftovers of that full blank card. Now you've used all those inside layers. Next cards. Okay, so for the next two, we're gonna use these pieces here, okay? For this one, I think this is the one we're gonna do. We're gonna take our ribbon and we're gonna grab and just kind of do that because I'm not gonna give you exact measurements because your piece might be 2 inches, it might be 3 inches, you know, depending on where you cut it. But I just wrapped it around like that and then I trimmed it. Then I took some of my twine. I took 6 inches of my twine. Let's see if we can find that. Twine. We might have to open up the new one. Okay, we'll open up the new one. I have 2 kits that I've been using. I used my first kit for designing everything. Then I used my second kit for sharing samples with you. And then I typically get a couple extra just in case I have to do more. Sometimes scrapbook pages take more than 1 kit. Okay, so we're gonna grab those 2 ends, gold side up again. I'm gonna take my twine and put it behind, have everything nice and tight. Then, as I'm holding this nice and tight, I'm gonna tie an overhand knot and I'm going to adjust it because right now my ribbon wants to curl upward kind of like this way and I want it to go the opposite way. So I want that curl to be on the bottom. So I'm just gonna kind of arch this and now tighten. Okay, and now that I have that in place, I can take and do a little tiny bow. If you need more ribbon than 6 inches, you can totally do that. Sometimes my fingers aren't as nimble as I think they're gonna be. All right, so there we have that, and then you can trim off the excess. So you can go like that. Maybe I'll trim this one this way. And now we have that cute little ribbon added. I'm going to show you what I did with, oh, let's do one more thing. You get some other accent pieces in your kit, accent stamps, I should say. And they are adorable, and I'm glad that they gave us single ones. This tiny little one and this tinier little one. This is where you want those A blocks to come back in. You don't have the A blocks anymore, but you'll want to pick up one of the flowers. And I think what I did is I just kind of hovered it. I hovered it and then I stamped one here, one right next to it, kind of peeking out like that. And then I have some up here, sort of in this spot. And I think one more over here. And then I took my small ones, let's grab my small one, and filled in. So 1, 2, 3, and you can keep bringing your card over and testing it. See how I covered that one up? I'm gonna do another one just a little further in. There we go. We'll do one up here and then one kind of floating up there. So these flowers are kind of part of the typewriter collection of bouquet flowers right there. And then these are kind of floating up in the air. This I added directly with seal adhesive. So we'll go ahead and add seal. And this can also cover up that score line that you see up there. So you can cover that up, or you can put it wherever because your sentiment can cover it up, because I'll show you what we do for a sentiment. For the sentiment, you do have sentiment pieces. You have these little punch outs that you can use for your cards too. And we're gonna use this one, but we're gonna flip it upside down. I don't know why, but that color kind of bugs, like a stripe of that. I mean, it would work on this card, I suppose, but I want it like that. Anybody else bugged by that one? Oh, okay. Anyways, we're gonna turn our thank you upside down, grab our block, pick it up, stamp our thank you onto this piece, and this is what we're gonna use with dimensionals to add right onto the top part of our card. I considered adding it in different places. Like I was moving it around. I was going down here, I was going over here, and then I ended up putting it up here. And I feel like this is what worked for me, but you have options, okay? So there's that card. And it looks like when you're finished, you will have those two cards. This one, all I did was do a simple wrap. So I took and I put adhesive along the back side. I would not use a glue because it will soak through the little threads of your ribbon. Instead, I would take a length of ribbon. So let's just show you that. Take and cut. And, oops, throwing scissors on the floor. Okay, for this, I want my gold side again, so I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put adhesive with my seal on the back side, or the Mossy Meadows side. So I'm keeping my two lengths of ribbon together. See how I did that? And then you can just take and separate them, and you can wrap them. We'll do that with our extra piece because it is here. And I did it above that score line because I kind of like that score line in there. So I just took and went like that, and it stayed nice and straight. And then I wrapped to the back. Did the same thing with that little tiny piece of ribbon, stuck it on here with a glue dot. And then the same trick with the flowers where you hover and then you stamp. But this layer is put on with dimensionals. So you see a little bit of a shadow behind that layer. It's stuck on with dimensionals. You can see them in there. Can you? Can you see them? They're in there. So that's that. And the inside of those cards are, this is the large. Remember I told you for one of your envelopes, you're gonna have a skinny piece, you're gonna have a large piece. This is that large piece, and I trimmed it to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then for this one, it is the piece that was left over from the typewriter card, okay? And this one measures 3 inches by 4 1/4. That was the one where we cut those two little strips off the top. You can stamp sentiments on the inside as well. Thank you, Belinda. Oh, thanks, Debbie. So you can stamp sentiments because the stamp set comes with a ton of words. The stamp sets come with a ton of words. I just chose not to do that, trying to save on how many photos I put on my blog. So you can choose to put whatever on yours. The next card. So we've got our flaps. And for, let me find that piece here. Here it is. Okay. For this card, remember I told you that you could trim it at the 4-inch mark. So you're going to take that rounded part of the envelope, put it right up to 4 inches, and trim. And that will give you a piece that looks like this by 5.5 inches wide. It's 5.5, so it's going to fit right across the front of your card. Let's take a look at that base again. So here's a base. It'll go edge to edge, but on the top and bottom, you will see the Secret C coloring. And that's meant to be that way. I wanted it that way. Okay. All right. For the purse or the bag, we're going to treat this handle as if it's another handle in the back. So for that, I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. And I love to use it in the precision tip bottles. So I'm just going to add glue right to the front of these two parts of the handle. And there's a link to that, by the way, in my favorite extras on my website. So if you go to stampyourartout.com, click on shop, go to my favorite extras, you're going to see the precision tip bottles, the glue bottles. There's a link next to it for how I fill my glue bottles. Then I'm just going to take and tuck this right behind. And it looks like a handle that has been pulled up in the back. That's better. A handle that's been pulled up in the back of the bag, okay? So now we can add that to the front. We can add that to our card. This I would put on dimensionals for a little shadow. And then we get all these little flower accents. So let me show you a sheet of the accents. These are the accents. You get a typewriter, you get a bag with a handle, and then you get all these little flower accents to use on your cards. So I took these two and I just added them down here, also with dimensionals. And I grabbed a little like 3-inch piece of ribbon, folded it in half, trimmed it, and stuck it underneath with a glue dot. And that's how I came up with this card. Okay, this is my little bag thank you card. And on the inside, you can see one of the envelope layers, 3¼ by 4.5 inches. So again, this is up on dimensionals. These are up on dimensionals, but my dimensionals under my bag are here, here, and here, so that the dimensionals under the flowers will still go flat to the card, and you'll still only have that 1-dimensional thick when you mail it. It gives the illusion that it's up high when it's pulled out of the card because the bag pops up, and so does the flowers. Then this really pops up off your card. But when you mail it, you don't have anything underneath here because the dimensional is sitting right here. And then the ribbon, again, is just tucked under there because you've only put the dimensional here, here, and here on the back of the bag. So you have plenty of room to lift that up and stick that ribbon under there. I stamped thank you directly onto the envelope piece, the little layer that we had here. And I did that after my bag was kind of positioned where I want it to be. So I stamped, and you really don't have two sides to this. So you have to stamp it correctly the first time, but the stamps are clear, so you can see through them as you're positioning your stamp down. All right, and then the other card that I made that is similar to that, also using this, oops, let's move that over here. Also using this second layer, because we have two that I asked you to cut like that, you're gonna use your typewriter. So you're gonna have your typewriter, and for your typewriter, did you know that you have this typewriter paper? It's so cute. It's like we're going back to, I don't know, miniatures, right? I love miniatures. And that gets tucked into the typewriter. Look at that, the paper's tucked in there. It's so cute. And so you type, or you write onto there, and then that gets put onto your card. So I stamped on here just a note, so appropriate, just a note, tucked it in there, and then took some tape, just some regular like Scotch tape or whatever, and taped this back here. Put dimensionals on the back side again, here, here, and here, and put it onto the front of my card. And that card ended up looking like this. So you have your typewriter that's popped up a little bit. You have your flowers that are connected to your typewriter. But again, there's no dimensionals underneath the typewriter part. So even though it looks 2 dimensionals high, it's not. It's going to go into your envelope really well. And then the same thing where I tucked the folded ribbon underneath. So just a note, and there is another envelope layer on the inside, just like the last card. Okay. We have a lot to get through. I'm talking fast. Could you also use the Notes and Totes bag on these? The Notes and Totes bag is larger and it's not like the same shape and all that stuff, but totally, yes, absolutely. A lot of the sentiments would be great to use with this kit just because of that stamp set having a bag or those dies having a bag image, you know what I mean? So let's now move to the last and 9th card. So we had, and I'm going to put these aside because we don't need those anymore. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards so far made with the contents of 3 kit cards, 3 envelopes. And then we used Secret Sea, the Mossy Meadow Gold ribbon, and what else was it? Oh, envelopes, extra envelopes, because you're going to cut into your envelopes. So you need a pack of envelopes. And so our 9th card that was made is using one of those extra pieces. Remember when we cut here, we had these extra pieces here. So you're going to use one of those, and you're going to use that skinny section here that we cut, and you're going to layer them together and make a really pretty card with your leftover flowers. So we have on here, this envelope flap layer is 1 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And so that makes the white layer underneath, also from the same envelope, 1 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, and those are just stuck flat down. Before I stuck them down though, I did stamp my floral image, which is this one here. I stamped it once and angled it and stamped it again to get the little peak of kind of flowers coming out behind. So first you're going to layer these together, then you're going to hover them like we did with the other 2 cards. You're going to stamp, stamp, and then you can stick that down. Once you've stuck that down and this is stamped, then you can layer these other pieces. For this piece here, I used the, where did it go? Here it is. This little sentiment piece. It's this one here. Okay, it's a little tiny tag that's meant to go with the bag card, but it doesn't matter. You can use it by itself. And I stamped "For You" on it. Then I stuck a little bit of ribbon behind it, adhered it just like I did on that first card that I shared with you. Just put a little adhesive behind this white strip, stuck the ribbon down, trimmed it, and then this is on dimensionals. So I put that on dimensionals, but I added and tucked in some little flowers here and there. So I tucked in, there's like a double flower. Let me show you those. So here's the double one. These are together. And then there's a couple single ones. So one here and one here. And they were just kind of like shoved underneath. Okay. So that's where the extra flowers go. These are on dimensionals. These are just stuck down straight. This is on dimensionals. The twine, here's my other 6 inches of twine that I used. I tied it in a bow. And then I stuck a tiny little glue dot back behind there, kind of rolled up so that only a little bit of glue was showing through on that hole. And I just stuck my little twine right in there and it grabbed. It was so cool. Such an easy little trick. So those are the 9 cards. That's how you can triple the cards in your kit. I have a few other card ideas. This next one is quite simple. I'm gonna grab my trimmer and we're gonna take some things and move them behind me in the staging area. Okay, staging area. Basic white cardstock. So let's say you make all your kit cards in different ways and you've got all these odds and ends pieces, but you do have one of these left over. One of the things that I want to share, and I just saw it on the Paper Pumpkin Fan Club on Facebook this morning. So impressed. It was super cute. And I can't remember who it was. So if you're watching, I loved your idea. You take and cut out some designer paper to make it look like a valance. And she not only cut the shape of a valance, but she had it pleated too. It was really cute how the designer paper had little folds in it. And so it started low and then it went high and then it went low again. And it was the cutest little valance on her window. So you could do decorative things on your windows. We're gonna take this piece as a whole piece. We're gonna turn our cardstock. This is basic white cardstock. And we're gonna turn it so that it is getting cut in this direction at 4¼ inches. You guys are like, what? Yes, so it's a fun fold that's very simple. We're gonna score at 5½. And then you're like, well, where's the rest of the cardstock? We're gonna fold on that score line. We're gonna use a bone folder because this is a great tool. It's one of those tools that I eventually invested in and I'm so glad I did. It's so nice to work with it. But here is our card, the front and the inside. You're like, wait a minute, it's missing some stuff. It is. We're gonna grab some designer paper, and this is one of my favorite designer paper packs right now. It's called Painterly Pairs. It's part of the same suite of products where you can get this ribbon. And I have to show it to you. Let me just show you this paper. It's amazing, you guys. Okay. Commercial. Commercial for the paper. You get 2 sheets of all 6 double-sided designs. This is all I have left, but it's this really cool piece. And if you look at my website at stampyourartout.com, you're gonna be able to go back to several posts and see some cards that I made using this sheet in particular. Just really gorgeous ideas. Backside of that, this is one of my favorites. Look at the beautiful pears and florals. And then the backside, here's another one. And the backside of that, this is one of my favorites because it has green on green leaves. And the backside of that, these are cuttable with the dies that come with that suite. Then you have this paper and the backside, and this paper and the backside. And these are my extra scraps. So colors that are in this, Secret Sea is in here. Calypso Coral, Daffodil Delight. Like there's the same kit colors, like the same colors that the kit says, and here it is. Not exactly the same, but very similar. And if you look at the shapes of the flowers, these are quite comparable to the shapes of the flowers that come with the kit. So, and then that you get kind of more of a darker pink flower, but still that watercolor imagery, and it's just stunning. So if you're looking for some designer paper to coordinate with your kit, that's the one I would recommend that is current right now. Okay, let's go back to this and let's take our pieces. So this piece here measures 4¼ inches wide by I think 2½ inches tall. Yep. And we're gonna grab our adhesive and put just a little bit on the back side and position that corner to corner. By the way, I forgot to thank my my moderator, Trisha Josephs. If you're new to my channel, I'm so sorry, Trisha, I just kind of took you for granted today. I forgot to introduce her. She's my moderator. She's here to help us out. So if you notice somebody always commenting and sharing links, she's my assistant. She's so awesome. Thank you, Trisha. I'm so sorry. On these videos where I'm sharing like massive things from one kit, I have to focus in on like sharing. And sometimes I forget to say things. Okay, so that is done. Now we're gonna grab our ribbon, because gotta love this ribbon. And we're gonna take, I think I already cut it. Here it is. We're gonna take, it's a little over 7 inches, 7½ inches, I think is what I have here. We're gonna do the same trick where we're gonna fold it so that we have that little loop there. And we're gonna put adhesive on the back side of this at the same time, on both sides at the same time. Hang on, I gotta separate them a bit. Okay, so we have some adhesive back there. And now we peel in this direction to separate them. And we're gonna start from the inside. And we're gonna go about 1/8 inch up with even amounts on each end. Wrap these 2 pieces to the front, like that. Well, that's ugly, Rachel. We're getting there. Okay, Then you can take and add, just to reinforce it, just add a little strip of tape here, just to keep those ends from coming up and off. And if you have any extra little gooeys, you know, you can take and roll them, and they'll eventually kind of roll off, and you can throw them away, okay? Because sometimes you get that when you're putting adhesive along the edge of a ribbon like that. The next step is to take this piece and to add that with dimensionals. So because this is the back side of the top, I'm gonna put dimensionals directly onto that piece. And because this is the middle and I want it to be adhered here and I'm not exactly sure where, I'm gonna put one for sure right there in the middle. And then I can come and I can put this underneath and I can see how far my other two dimensionals can go down. And we'll just add one more up top here. Okay, so we have some on the top and we have some that are gonna connect with the middle back of this. Peel off the backings. By the way, if you're somebody who does not have thin fingernails like me, you can take and use like your scissors and kind of grab the backings like that. You can use take your pick tool. That helps too. You know, you can do things like that to help grab those backings off. Especially if you're somebody who gets manicures like I used to do. Did you know I used to match every paper pumpkin kit when I first started? Every paper pumpkin kit, I had my nails done for my videos. Go back to the old ones and you can see. And then I got old. And then I started getting ridges and I'm like, my nails are getting weak. So no more nail painting. Then I went through a phase again and I started up again and I'm like, nope, never doing this again. So we're done. Do you like the ribbon tip? Thanks, Pat. How are you? All right, so there's that. And then you can add your sentiment little piece up on more dimensionals here. But remember, this is where we put dimensionals behind. So this just has to go a little further down. It looks like it's 2 dimensionals high, but when you put it through the envelope, it's only gonna be 1 dimensional high because it'll flatten down. Then I added a couple dragonfly embellishments, and you see how I bent the wings a bit? That allows it to look, I mean, you can reflect light off of them a little bit more. And so that comes from, and this sheet is kind of messed up, but it's the adhesive back dragonflies and birds, and I sure do love those dragonflies. So that is another card idea. Okay, next, I'm gonna bring this paper back in, and we're gonna go on to another card where I'm using basic white cardstock. I'm also using petal pink cardstock, mossy meadow cardstock. And for this card, I want it to just be 4 inches high instead of 4 1/4. So I'm still gonna cut in the same direction, so it's 8 1/2 by 4 inches. And the reason why I'm choosing 4 inches is to make the most use of designer paper. I'm gonna show you the finished card now. We're not gonna actually walk through the whole thing because I have a video that I did a few weeks back on this pop-up tiara type of fun fold card. And this is my paper pumpkin kit version of it. So check that out. There is the pop-up portion. You can flatten it down and it fits into an envelope. You just go back to that video. It's linked in my blog. So if you click on the blog post link that is connected to this video, and it will go live in a little less than 2 hours. I'll make it go live sooner if we can get through all these cards. But click on that link. It will take you to my blog post, and within there is a link to my how-to video for making this type of pop-up card. And I call it the tiara pop-up type of card, diamond tiara pop-up, I think, whatever. But because these little diamonds here look like the top of a crown, okay? So that's that card. So for this card, measurements, you can find those measurements with the, you can find those with the link. And then I'm gonna give you some extra measurements that I used for another type of this card, but I brought them into this space is a little bit different. So I'll give you those measurements, but all the other measurements are the same. Stamped off. So instead of getting full color for my flowers, so let's say I stamped, where is it? This flower, let's say I stamped that. That would be the darkest of the color without inking again. That would be a second version of that color without inking again. That would be a third version of the color. This is stamping off twice, or we call this first generation, second generation, third generation. Okay, so this is second and third generations, or stamped off once and twice to get those lighter Secret Sea flowers. You'll want to put those on there before you add your paper strips. The measurements for the inside here are, designer paper is 2 1/4 inches wide, and then these two strips are the same. They're 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch by 4. Everything's 4 inches tall, okay? The flower here and this flower here do have a little bit of curling on the ends. And to get the two flowers, I cut them where they separate. And if you look closely, you can see one overlaps the other. Keep it that way. Cut this one out, the one that overlapped. Keep that one as your dominant one. And your one that is going to have like a little cut in the petal gets tucked in here. Nobody sees the flaw that gets tucked under there. That petal gets tucked under. But to do the bone folding, you're just going to take and go like this to give little curls. Can you see that? You're going to give little curls to the ends of your petals. It's hard to see. Anyways, they're curled. They don't go just flat anymore. So it gives it more dimension. And the dragonfly wings, again, are bent before added. The typewriter is added with little 2 strips of designer paper, the 1.5 inch by 1 inch pieces. And I think that's it. So there's another card idea. Okay, this next one is using more of the designer paper from that pack. And this designer paper is, oops, thought I was zooming in. Hang on. So this designer paper measures 2 3/4 by 4 inches. Again, making the most of your designer paper. And I took this card and I cut it right where the bag separates from the flowers. So I took and cut it right about here, which looks to be about 2 3/4 inches right here, okay? And you take and you put your cutting blade down right on that score line and you slice. And then you cut right on that score line here and slice. And now you have this extra little piece that you cut in half. Sorry, forgot to cut that in half. Cut that in half at 2 1/8 inches. So now you have pieces that are 2 3/4 inches high by 2 1/8 inch wide. You could make these into cute little tags for gifts. So for that, I brought in this punch pack. These are our I forget what they're called. They're listed in the description of the video, but they're for punching holes, hole punch pack or something in the top. And you can see this is an 1/8 inch circle. That's the one I used. And I just took and opened it up on the bottom, centered it and punched, okay? Then I took my ribbon, inserted it, so my 2 ends were coming out. And just like that one card where I have my 2 ends coming out, I took a piece of twine, wrapped it around and tied it. Before putting all that stuff onto these layers, I stamped, and then this is up on dimensionals, and this is up on dimensionals. Again, that trick with the 2-dimensional layers high, but the dimensionals are here and here, and here and here. So they're never layered on top of each other, and it helps to fit them into envelopes. So there we go. We have a thank you card and a card for a friend. Again, you could use them just as tags, or you can turn them into cards by just putting them on the front of a card base. Then, these little flowers here are there because we have this card left over. And holy cow, Rachel, what did you do to that card? Well, this folded here becomes one of those Dutch fold cards, I think they call them. Dutch door or Dutch door fold or something. We have a bag that looks like it's not really a bag. I took and added some more flowers in and around the bag pieces just to floof it up a little bit more again, I think. I don't know. I just added whatever extra flowers I had. I don't know, something like that, to make it look like the bag has flowers on again. Some I have dimensionals on, some I would glue, but just, you know, add those flowers so that when you open this up, all of those flowers stick with the bag as you're opening it up. Then on the inside, I stamped a sentiment and I put one more flower that would peek up above the other flowers so it looks like it's part of the bag, but it's not. It's on the inside. Let's take a peek at that card. And the card, the ink that I used for that and the words that I used for that are wonderful thoughts using Summer Splash ink. I chose Summer Splash ink because I thought that was a good match to the bottom color here, which also, like, Pretty Peacock would work there too, but I wanted a lighter, kind of softer sentiment blue. So this is only the beginning of a life filled with love. Great card for an engagement, for a wedding, right? So here are all my flowers, and some are on dimensionals and some are just glued to the back side of pieces, you know, just kind of layered up. There's what the back side of it looks like. And here's that one that kind of looked like it was part of the bag and then it wasn't. And this is, of course, where you would write. You could also write here, but that is another card idea. Okay, lots of ideas. I have more, you guys. So I work with this group called the Paper Pumpkin Creatives team, and we've been designing, I'll just say. We've been designing already because we're getting our kits. We get our kits just the same time as everybody else, and we've been designing with our kits, and I already came up with my exclusive ideas. So when I say exclusive, we have subscribers, people that get the kits through us, and so we want to, you know, gift them for choosing us because we get profits from that, so that's nice. And so because of that, I like to gift my subscribers, and so this team, we make a bunch of exclusives. They are for our subscribers, they are for our team members, so if you're a demonstrator in my group, you can get them that way, but you can also purchase them. And so I'm going to walk you over to my website now so that you can see where to get those. So here we go. We're back onto my website. Let's go under shop. Let's go to, here it is, tutorials, logo items, that kind of stuff. So we're going to go to tutorials. And when you're here, you can see that I've got all-star tutorials in here and I've got creatives tutorials. Like this is last month's kit. So if you're interested, you can purchase that tutorial bundle for $15 from me, and you can get even more ideas. And again, we didn't want to make them just exclusive to our subscribers and team members. We wanted lots of people to get to be able to get their hands on them. So that way we're not stealing subscribers from other people too, right? So purchase from your demonstrator, purchase from yourself if you are a demonstrator. What else do I want to tell you? So if you saw the all-star tutorials, those are gifted to people who purchase from me, but you can also purchase those individually. That's another group that I work with, so you can check that out. There is an in-color sale going on right now. So I'm going to take you back to my website, and we're going to take a peek at how you can find that information. So if you are under the shop tab, you can go to my online store, and that will take you to the shopping place where you can purchase stuff. And you can see the banner right across the top here. We'll just click on that. And a whole bunch of items in here are on sale for 15% off, just because this month Stampin' Up! Is having a sale on certain colors. So take advantage of that. The refill kit, let's just check to see if that's here. Menu, go to menu, which is under my head. You can't see it, but I'm going to click on Paper Pumpkin subscription, refills and past kits. It's not there yet because it is the 20th of the month, which is what I thought. So today is the 20th. Typically the day after the 20th is when Stampin' Up! Releases a refill kit. So for the kit that I just demonstrated, there's going to hopefully be refill kits, which don't include the stamps and ink, but have everything else. And those are available to anyone who's an active subscriber. If you're not an active subscriber, it won't let you purchase. Your email has to be connected to an active account. If you'd like to get in on that refill kit because you saw this and you're like, oh my gosh, I missed that kit. And I can always use different word stamps at home, whatever. So you can become a subscriber and then you can purchase that kit. And I believe it'll be available starting tomorrow. Years ago, it was like the first Monday after the 20th. Now it's like the first weekday, I think, after the 20th. Anyways, it's after the 20th. Okay. Talked about that. Past kit ideas, those you can find on my website too. So if you've been a subscriber for a long time, I have made alternate projects with every single kit. There has not been a month where I have not shared, but there have been months where I haven't done a video because something or other happened. But anyways, you will find them also on my website. And if you go there, again, you can find them at Paper Pumpkin, recent Paper Pumpkin posts, but you can also go to the older ones if you're looking for really past archived ones, okay? Hey, there's that painterly pear paper I was telling you about. And I think that is it. So on that note, did you guys have fun? I hope you did. This was like a crazy amount of cards and we fit it into an hour, Trisha. High five. Oh my goodness. Oh, and I try to share 2 sets of alternates every month. So I share right away, like now, and then I try to share some more alternates just before subscription period is up for the next kit. So you'll want to be subscribed by September 10th for the next kit because you don't want to miss out. All right. I think that's it. Did you guys have fun? Questions that I may not have answered. I saw a question come through from Marcia. Have I used the add-on dies with the kit yet? No. So that's a great question, Marcia. When I do my alternates with kits, I've had since day one, since March of 2013, I've had in my mindset that I want to use as very little products as possible because I feel like new subscribers should always feel like they don't have to own a ton, okay? You can make alternates without owning all these dies and without owning a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, blah, blah, blah. So my go-to always is to just sit down with the kit and a paper trimmer and maybe some extra cardstock and adhesive. And that's where I start my creations from right away. I don't go to what coordinates right away. Notice the first thing I did was like triple the card kits, right? Or the kit cards, right? Later on, I brought in the Painterly Pears paper and the ribbon. And I do have in my exclusive, the Stylish Shapes dies. I use that, but I haven't played around with. Hang on, let me grab them. So these are the circle. And I don't think I used them on the last kit, which is why I'm giggling because I'm so bad at using dies, you guys. So the Circle of Season dies, and they are amazing dies. Like you get strawberries for the last kit, you get a hello, you get this circle. That circle wasn't as big as what I needed for my exclusive, but you get like an acorn topper. Where is it? Here it is, acorn topper, a leaf. You can take and remove the center of your strawberry and make acorns. You get flour, you get all these different things, but I have not used them yet. I may, but again, I want my people out there to know that you don't have to own all this equipment to make alternates. So I oftentimes don't go and do like these elaborate projects with 20 extra products. Okay. I'm not saying that other people's ideas are wrong. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, there are all kinds of Paper Pumpkin subscribers. We have people like me who do have a lot of stuff. We have people who are just beginners, and we have those intermediate people who craft every month, but they don't own everything, right? So it's good to have all those different ideas, and you will find that in our exclusives group. When you buy a tutorial or you earn a tutorial through us, you will find all kinds of ideas in there. We have scrapbook pages, we have 3D projects, we have cards, we have artisan demonstrators, so people who have been chosen by Stampin' Up! And the community to represent Stampin' Up! Products. They do artisan level cards. It's just amazing, you guys. And so we have dies in there, we have extra stamp sets, we have all kinds of options in those alternate projects. So you're gonna get all kinds of things. Thank you, everybody. Any other questions? That was a long answer to your question, wasn't it, Marcia? So sorry. All right, well, I'll let you all go. My team live is coming up, so I'm gonna transition and I will meet up with those of you who are part of the Stampers with Art Stars team. A sneak peek of the September kit. Paula asks, I get the same peaks as you guys do. I used to be on this advisory board and we had peaks a little earlier, but we don't have that anymore. Artisan design team gets to see things a little earlier. We do not. Some of them do. It depends on if it's their month to design with the kit or not. But no, I don't know what's inside the September kit yet. I just see what you guys see. And make sure that you're checking out my blog post. Scroll down to the bottom and you'll see all the information on that stuff. Thank you, Trisha. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.